cloud gaming has recently become strangely interesting. So at the end of September, Google announced that they were done with Stadia, the whole cloud gaming service. They were done with it. They're moving on. We're going to come back to that. But around that time, there was a slew of dedicated cloud gaming hardware that was launched. So first was this thing, the Logitech G Cloud. This is a gaming handheld that is cloud focused. And there was also the Razer product, the Razer Edge, 5G enabled gaming handheld. But there was also this trio of Google Chromebooks that were marketed as the world's first laptops built for cloud gaming. So Acer, Asus, and Lenovo had made these Google Chromebooks that were supposedly built for cloud gaming as their focus. Like, I'm not gonna say cloud gaming capable, because basically every Chromebook is capable of cloud gaming. These were built specifically for gaming on the cloud. But what makes them special is their display. All three of these devices have a high refresh screen, so 120 hertz or higher. This one in particular has 144 hertz, but it really is like the main feature of what makes this a product that's built for gaming. How do I get rid of this reflection? There we go. So it's a decent Chromebook, and there's some like gaming laptop-esque features. So you got RGB lights on some of them. You have terrible laptop speakers. It really is just like a regular Chromebook, if I'm being honest, but a high refresh screen. Now, at first I thought this was kind of cool. I'm like, yeah, that could kind of work, right? A Chromebook, these are inexpensive devices. You throw in a high refresh screen, you got some high frame rate in games, that's kind of cool. And then I saw the price tag, $600 to $700 for one of these Chromebooks. And I was like, what is going on? Like, Chromebooks are like $300-400. And I get it that this is a kind of higher end Chromebook, so I can kind of get the price tag, but being marketed as a gaming focused Chromebook, I gotta get one in, right? I gotta see what these things can do. So I went with this one. This is the most expensive one. This is from Asus, the CX55, and it's a hybrid 2-in-1, so it can do the whole like bendy flippy thing, so you can position the screen in a whole bunch of different ways. And actually the first thing I noticed when I pulled it out of the box was its weight. This is like 4.3 pounds, almost 2 kilograms. It's like, you would expect a Chromebook to be lighter. Now, I dive into testing games, and it's very easy to set up. There's no installation of game files or anything. It just gets right into the games, and it's from the save files from my Steam account. And my initial impression was like, yeah, this isn't bad, right? The games are streaming in the way I would expect them to. The keyboard feels decent. Not like the best gaming keyboard, but not bad. The speakers aren't great, but kind of comes with the territory with kind of laptop gaming. The fan noise is decent, right? It doesn't get loud at all. Even at, a couple hours of playing Cyberpunk, it's still a relatively quiet fan. And the battery life is solid. It's not like the claimed 12 hours, whatever they're saying. I was getting a comfortable 4 hours per charge, which is a lot better than your average gaming laptop. But I noticed myself thinking that this didn't feel like a better gaming experience than your average like $300 Chromebook. It felt largely identical. And I couldn't figure it out. I was like, this is supposed to have the high refresh screen. And I was looking at the screen and I realized there's something wrong with this whole idea of high refresh screens for cloud gaming. Now, this particular screen isn't high end. It's not particularly bright or color accurate, but I can forgive all that. It's more what this whole product category represents. So number one, not a lot of games that are streamed can even take advantage of high refresh screens. Like, you need to have something that's like environments that are moving really fast, or like competitive shooters where things are moving really quickly in game, and a high refresh screen would be utilized properly. So there's not a ton of games that do it anyways, right? But secondly, when it comes to streaming, the image quality that you get is entirely dependent on the bandwidth, like the internet connection. Well, not entirely dependent, but very dependent on it, right? And when you have let's say you're trying to stream 1080p at 120 frames per second. That needs about 30 megabytes per second. It's an internet speed that is very attainable, but if you don't maintain that, you're gonna get dips in frame rate. And fluctuating frame rate is terrible for gaming. Like, if you're stuck at 110, but then it dips to 60, and then back to 110, and then back to 60, moving, aiming, all of that is just like, what is going on? This is terrible. This is a bad game experience. I would rather be locked at 60 and just be like comfortably playing at 60 and get used to the aiming and the movement there than to have it fluctuate. The third thing though, the most important thing, is that games that are streamed do not have the visual fidelity to look proper with a high refresh screen. You're getting a ton of video artifacts, right? Compression, you're streaming a lot of data and you're trying to pipe it down with compression so you can stream it to these devices quickly. But the problem is that everything looks a little bit blurry. Now for regular cloud gaming, that's fine, that's expected. But with 120 hertz screens, everything looks like it's ghosting and blurring as if you have a 200 millisecond response time. And it makes no sense that they would even try to implement this kind of screen technology for this type of game technology. They just don't mix well. But my bigger issue with this product isn't like the minutia of the screen and the refresh rate and all that stuff. This is a cloud gaming. Like the whole idea of cloud gaming, one of the main tenets of what cloud gaming is or should be is that you can game anywhere, everywhere with any device, particularly ones that you already own, right? The whole idea is that you don't have to buy new hardware or special hardware to play games, and let alone like a $700 gaming Chromebook. It just doesn't sit well with me. So when I look at this, I'm like, okay, you can pick up gaming laptops, like regular gaming laptops that are pretty decent entry-level ones that are like, $800, which is not that far off from this stuff. Or if you really want to just get in cheap, you just buy like a $300 or $400 Chromebook and it can do almost all of this with almost the same visual fidelity. It just doesn't make sense that this thing even exists, dude. I don't like seeing it. And I'm not saying these are bad Chromebooks. These are great. It's just that they're marketed as the world's first laptops built for cloud gaming, and it just rubs me the wrong way, especially coming off the tails of Google canceling Stadia. So about that, here's the thing about Stadia. So I think that the tech of Stadia was decent. It wasn't amazing, but I called it right from the beginning that there was something fundamentally wrong with what Google was trying to do, especially for them, because that Stadia user base was going to grow slowly. It's early cloud gaming days and their store model was a little bit different. But for many companies that are trying to get into it for the long term, like Xbox or Nvidia, like sitting around and waiting for a user base to grow is perfectly fine, but not for Google. They are so hyper-focused on like experimentation and trying new things, and if things don't work out and pick up quickly, they dump it. And you could just smell right from the rip that Stadia was going to end up the way that it did. But that's just Google, all right? But I want to move this conversation over to other types of cloud gaming products. So this one here, the Logitech G Cloud, this is a very different product from the Chromebooks. It's a $300 to $350 device. It's quite expensive, but it does feel like it fills some kind of product category that hasn't been done before. So if you want to play cloud games, but you don't want to play it on your phone because you don't want to like kill batteries, or if you just want to have a bigger screen or just kind of better overall experience playing cloud games other than just using your phone with controllers, this does that. It actually does it reasonably well. You're going to run into all the limitations of cloud gaming, so you're going to have, visual artifacts, and it's going to be very dependent on internet connections and stuff. But it actually feels like a legitimately viable product for people that are looking for something like this. The controls are good, and it's a fanless system, right? So it's completely quiet while you're playing, and it's got a great battery life, like 7-8 hours from my testing. It does still have all the kind of quirks and nuances that cloud gaming has. Like, it's not great with first-person shooters, but I still think that this product, even though it's fairly expensive, fills a niche that exists. There are people that want something like this, and they don't want to just play it on their phone. But the gaming Chromebook, I don't know, man. I don't like when companies just take a product and rebadge it and bump up its price and be like, this is for gaming. I hate seeing that. And the thing about cloud gaming, like I gotta make this clear. My stance on cloud gaming, I love it. I think it's not just part of our future. I think it's probably going to be a big part of the future of gaming. I just think that it's going to take some time to get there. The thing about cloud gaming, though, is it's entirely about accessibility, right? It's entirely about being able to have anybody, anywhere, with any device, play games. And seeing companies try to like profit and be like, hey, we got something to sell during the holiday season. I hate it. I straight up hate it. Okay, that's it.